Hey guys, today I'm going to talk to you about the Manly 120 palette, second edition. There's a couple different names for this palette. Some people say version 2, some people say second edition. If you search it on eBay and you type in 120 palette 89B, you'll also get this palette. And the way that this palette is different is that it has more neutral colors. Metallics and neutrals, and then you've got some blues and greens. You get into the purples and then the reds and the browns, and then you've got another row of browns at the bottom, and then some pinks, and then you've got your blacks and grays and silvers, and then here's some more blues and purples and greens. And then here's a row of yellows and oranges. So that's the gist of the palette. Here it is from far away. And normally it'd be like yellow, orange, red, greens, blues. And with this palette you get a lot more neutrals. See, you've got 2 rows of neutrals here, you've got your blacks and grays and whites, and then more neutrals here. So basically, the reason I chose this palette is because I wanted a mixture of colors, neutrals, warms, shimmers, mattes. I wanted it all, basically. And instead of buying an 88 shimmer palette that was going to give me a ton of barely different versions of one color that were all shimmery, or a matte palette that's basically the opposite of that, or the 120 palette that gives me so many different colors but doesn't give me any neutrals or warms. So that's why I chose to get the second edition. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is why I chose to buy on eBay instead of buying from BH Cosmetics, or they don't even offer this in Coastal Scents, but why I chose not to buy it on BH Cosmetics. And then I'd like to also tell you about why I chose the specific seller on eBay. At first, when I started looking around at the different palettes, I, wanted to stick to Coastal Scents. Like, oh, I trust Coastal Scents. Everybody on YouTube buys from Coastal Scents. It's safe. I don't want to buy on eBay, or I don't want to, you don't know who these people on eBay are who are selling these products. So you're a little bit hesitant. But eventually I did a little research, and in the end, it just comes down to the only difference between Coastal Scents and the sellers on eBay is that Coastal Scents is just basically a middleman who's charging more for the same product. So that's when I decided, okay, screw Coastal Scents and BH Cosmetics, I'm going on eBay. And obviously what you're getting out of the deal is a, much lower price on the product. So on BH Cosmetics with tax, the 120 palette version B was going to be $37.90. What I ended up paying on eBay was $18.90, which is about a $20 difference, and that also included a free brush kit. So, I mean, not only was I paying a lot more, I was also getting free brushes and getting the same exact product. So that is definitely a big selling. And so when I went on eBay and I started looking at different sellers of the version 2 120 palette, I found a couple different things that you should definitely take note of. First of all, don't just pick the cheapest 120 palette, or the cheapest palette that you find on eBay, because you definitely need to look at the seller ratings to make sure you're going to get the product. It's not going to be poorly packaged, and you're not going to end up with a million eyeshadows that are all broken pieces and they won't refund it. So definitely look at the feedback so you can see how many of the eyeshadows were broken and all of that. my eyeshadow palette, only one was broken. And that was amazing. And actually right now I'm going to show you some of the footage from right when I opened my palette. And I'll show you how well packaged it was and how pleased I was with the seller. And the seller that I used was called AU Super Shop. The target audience is Australia, but they still sell to United States citizens. Hey guys, so I just got my eyeshadow 120 palette in the mail, and I just wanted to show you how well packaged it was. Here you can see it's from Hong Kong. It's flown in airmail, and this is like heavy duty packaging, really well, and tons of I just opened it, there's tons of bubble wrap inside, and so I guess we'll find out in a second if any of the shadows are broken. So here's another look at how well packaged it was, like just tons and tons of bubble wrap, and then it's got 2 layers of this foam on top of it. Okay, so here's the outside of the Manly palette, and it came inside with another layer of bubble. And here are the colors. I only had one broken color, and it's this one right there. It's a black, and luckily there's another black right here, so I'm not that disappointed. I have lots of black, so, and I'm gonna try to repress it and see if that fixes it. So but overall, I'm super satisfied with the way everything turned out. And then here's the brush set that I got with it for free. And all of the brushes are really nice except for this one, which I had heard from a previous one. And this one is literally plastic bristles that are completely hard. I mean, you can see it's shiny, and that's because it's hard plastic bristles. The funny thing about this palette, or about these brushes, is that they say MAC on them. Obviously they're not MAC, but you can pretend. So the way I found my vendor on eBay was I typed in 120 palette 89B, which is the second version, and then I organized the results in order from lowest price to highest price. And I looked at the first couple vendors, and they hadn't sold very many and didn't have much feedback. And on top of that, I looked at the pictures, and the palette did not look exactly the same as the palettes on BH Cosmetics. The colors, there's a row of neutrals that looked like it was a row of pinks. And I'm not sure if that was just due to bad lighting or what, but I didn't want to risk getting a different palette than the one I really wanted. So that's what led me to look past the cheapest palettes and go for something that was a little more expensive, but that would come with a gift and had good ratings. So kept looking down, and eventually I came across AU Super Shop, and there's a lot of palettes that are around between $16, $17, $18, $19, $20. So a lot of different vendors have palettes that are around that price. But I ended up stopping on them because A, I could buy it now for a cheap price instead of biddings, because I wanted to buy that palette right away as soon as I saw it, And I didn't want to wait, 7 days for the bidding to end and for someone to outbid me. I just wanted to buy my palette now. So they had the buy it now option. So that was definitely a selling point for that vendor. And then on top of that, they had great ratings, and they had sold a lot of palettes and had a lot of good feedback. So, and they had the free brushes. So I was like, okay, this is the vendor for me. So I hope this video has been helpful. Basically, the big thing to remember about eBay is do your research, and you can definitely get great vendors, great experiences, and not waste your money. So I hope this was helpful. Thanks, guys.